A very good evening to you, wherever you're watching us from. Thank you very much for making time to join us right here on Ingwe Fanzone. This is how we do it each and every Thursday evening. So from 8:10 p.m., this is the place to be. We tell you all about FC Leopards and exactly what to look forward to. If you missed anything, well, this is the place where you will get all that information from. Karibuni sana, my name is Gladys Midecha, and as usual, it is always a pleasure to have your company. Now, we have so much to talk about, and today we are talking about the Derby special. And I'm going to be joined by ZACKS WAWERU. If you've been around the football scene, you definitely know who ZACKS WAWERU is. But before that, let me start off. With by reminding you of our match on Sunday, where Sunday, yes, we played Nzoia Sugar, and the match ended 2-2. And I see ZACKS is already in studio. ZACKS, karibu sana.
Asante sana Gladys. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you very much for making time and honoring this invitation. This is your first show in Ingwe Fanzone, hopefully not the last.
Well, I've been so much watching you on this channel every
Thank
Thursday,
you.
so I'm not a visitor. I'm not a visitor really.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and
Well, thank
you
you
know
very
where we've
much.
come
This
from. You
is
remember where we've come?
mhm,
We've come all the way.
yes,
You remember we were together
way
in
back,
KBC for a
way
long
back.
time, doing all these World Cup, Africa
Yes,
Cup of Nations, the CAFA, and all that. Gladys, you've been there, and I
a
know
true
you are good.
TBT,
Yeah,
a true
yeah, yeah.
TBT.
Exactly,
Thank you
exactly.
so much. You know, you're one of the people who's really contributed to the growth of my self-esteem in terms of being more articulate in matters football. So I do appreciate you holding my hand throughout the journey, man. Really,
Thank
I
you.
do.
Karibu sana. Karibu sana, Gladys. And you're
Yeah,
doing
thank
a
you.
great
Thank
job,
you
I
very
must tell
much.
you that. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well, guys, this is the last Thursday of the month of July. And with that comes the news where BetSafe, the sponsors, are introducing a player of the month award. So there will be time. There will be three players who are going to be named, and you're going to choose who your player of the month is in regard to the performance of the whole month of July. Zax, do you think, coming from BetSafe as the sponsors, this is important for Gor Mahia and FC? Do you think this is one of the things that is going to boost the motivation of the players?
Well, brilliant. I think that's a brilliant idea that they have come up with, which is going to help probably make each player contribute to their respective clubs effectively and give their time to the club. Again, how much do you think each player will give in? They will give in according to the value of what they are getting from BetSafe. I'll give you an example. We have LG. There's LG present that is given to a player every month, which is good also. It's
Yeah.
very motivating. But I probably would expect something from BetSafe to be higher than that so that to motivate the players to kujitolea for their own clubs. But it's a good idea because that motivates the players.
Mm. Well, it is said to be a good amount of money, and hopefully, we are looking forward to see who will take the player of the month of July. Now, with that, let's talk about the derby. Zax, first and foremost, I have to ask you: are you disappointed that not much is being said about the derby, despite the fact that probably FC Leopards and Gor Mahia are not at the tip of the table? But this is a derby. These are the two biggest clubs in Kenya. Are you disappointed that not much is being said about this derby?
I'm very, very disappointed. I'll be very honest with you. But I think there are good reasons why
Mhm,
probably there is not much hype on this derby. And
mhm,
one good reason, Gladys, is that there will be no fans in the stadium. Who makes the derby?
mhm.
It's the fans. It's that 12th man in the
Yeah.
stadium that makes it. So without the fans in the stadium, because of the jinx of COVID, you can understand why there is not that hype. Because it will only be 22 players in the field and the officials and maybe the
Mhm.
media, nobody else. Probably we can only watch it
The
on TV.
substitutes.
But
Mhm.
that does not bring
Yeah.
out that excitement that comes with a derby. You understand, Gladys? When you
Mm-hmm.
compare in the past years, where
Yes.
by this time
Mm-hmm.
we'll all be talking about the derby, Gor Mahia, AFC, on Sunday, where are you going to be? Are you going to, have you bought yourself a ticket and all that? Right now, because of COVID, it's killed
Mm-hmm.
it. It's definitely killed it. And two, not only even the fans, even the players
Mm-hmm.
themselves don't feel it because the, there are no fans in the stadium, and the fans are the ones who make
Mm-hmm.
them do what they do during the derby. Everybody, Gor Mahia wants to beat AFC, AFC wants to beat Gor Mahia. And so when you have the fans there, they push you to do it. It
Yeah.
becomes even more exciting. So that's the reason probably the hype is not there, Gladys.
So let's talk about derby expectations, Zax. What are you expecting from this derby? It's been an interesting season, if you ask me, for FC Leopards. They drew in their first match against Gor Mahia, lost to penalties. In the Betway Cup. This is the third meeting of their season. Do you think if FC Leopards plan themselves well and organize themselves well, they might actually just get a win that has been very elusive in the past years?
Gladys, I'll tell you this. Gor Mahia
Mm-hmm.
will want to come and probably win against AFC in this derby just to prove a point
Mm-hmm.
after the Betway Cup final.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
um,
Mm-hmm.
AFC would want to come and win this match to just break
Yes.
that win from Gor Mahia. Those are the two things that
Mm-hmm.
they all be looking at. But the only thing that I'm so much worried, I don't know who will win this game. I'll tell you for a fact,
Mm-hmm.
because both teams are not very much motivated at the moment. Um, and so
Yes.
that being the situation, so it's up to the coach to motivate the players to know that they are playing in a derby. That probably at the end of the day they are fighting for 3 points or 1 point. So there is not so much that they will be going for apart from the big name of being a derby. Let me insist that that 12th player in the stadium, it's a miss and is really killing that motivation of for even for the players, like I said earlier. So I think it will be let's share a point. After all, we have nothing to lose. AFC take one, Gor Mahia take
Looking at the
one.
last
But
two
again,
matches for let,
go on,
let's look at
sorry.
the last two matches for both teams. Um, FC Leopards drew against Nzoia and Gor Mahia lost their second consecutive match, and that was to Ulinzi. The first one they lost to Kariobangi Sharks. Then coming again into this match, they lost to Ulinzi. Do you think, as they're coming into this derby, it's going to be a case of probably a wounded Gor Mahia and FC Leopards not exactly being also at their best because they lost to Western Steamer 3-2, drew with Nzoia Sugar. Do you think this is a game that FC Leopards can try and take advantage of and probably just try and take all the 3 points?
I think AFC should take advantage over Gor Mahia in this particular match, this derby, for a reason that, first of all, let me say this. I was very disappointed that AFC lost to Zoya in Nakuru last weekend. I watched them train on Saturday at Camp Toyoyo, and they all looked motivated. They looked ready for the match. And I thought probably they'll go to Nakuru and come out of with the 3 points. Seeing the players the way they were training on Saturday at Camp Toyota, Camp Toyota, I was there the whole time that they trained. And at the end of the day, for them not to win the match against Zoya, I was very disappointed. Now, coming to this match, coming to the derby with that loss, it's basically um, AFC have to win it. This is the reason why AFC must win it. They need to take advantage over Gor Mahia at the moment. Gor Mahia are uh, they've been ruled out by the federation. They will not be playing in the Sakafa. They wanted to play in the Sakafa, but they say Tusker is the one going to play. So that has probably kept the players off their mind in terms of now we are not going to Sakafa. We have nothing to fight for. So probably that's why even they lost to Stima last weekend. But again, AFC have to take this game and win it against Gor Mahia. And that's, I have a feeling, I have my gut feeling telling me that AFC will take it, Gladys.
Well, I do hope that your gut feeling is right. Now, let's talk about something else. In this season, Zax, we've seen a lot of youth. You have been able to work with the youth. What do you think of FC Leopards in the process they are in trying to rebuild their team and probably, injecting more youth into their team? We've seen the likes of Lewis Bundy, we've seen the likes of Austin getting into the first 11. We've seen the likes of Marvin Abuira getting into the first 11. What do you think is the expectation? Should our expectations be now that we are trying to involve more youth to take part in playing these big matches?
Gladys, I'll tell you, there is nothing better than having a youth development structure within a club, whereby you grow youth to
Yes.
join the senior team. I know that AFC have a youth team that is playing in the I think Division 1. I've gone to watch them play. I think they were being coached by, what is this? What's the coach of the youth? I remember Hazard.
Hazard,
I've
yes.
Yes, I've gone, I've watched them train and all that. But my biggest problem would be, even when you have that youth team, there has to be what we call, you be selected to move to the senior team on merit, on your performance, on what you are proving to be in a team, but not a matter of who do you know. You get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
We need to allow the
Yes.
players to prove their worth being in the senior team. But what I've seen in our youth
Yes.
programs, and I will tell you this openly, is that there's a
Mhm.
tendency of, because that player is for so and so, I'll push him to the senior team. That's not right. Allow
Mhm.
every player to fight for their chance. So what I'm saying is this: it starts with the management plan of the youth development. For example, in AFC, you have the youth that is playing in Division 1 right now. Do you have, before Division 1? Do you
Yes.
have another team playing in Division 2? You don't have. Do you have a team playing in the county?
Mhm.
I don't know that you have. So the
No.
development of the youth, because you keep on promoting these players from those who are in the county league, you put them to Super League, you take them to Division 1 or Division 2, then Division 1, then NSL. I
Mhm.
mean, you keep on moving them. At the end of the day, you're going to get a crop of players that you'll always build together and will push you. I'll give you an example of Europe. Look at a team like Liverpool. Before Liverpool got their
Yes.
first Premier League, they've been together for how long? For almost, I think, over 5 years before they got that when
Five
Klopp
years.
came in. Yeah.
Yes.
So they
Yes.
they kept on bringing the youth within, as long as they are bringing professional players in, they're also growing their youth who are contributing a big deal to their winnings. When you look at a player like Arnold, the right back, when you look at a player like
Alexandra
who,
Trent. Yeah.
exactly. So you grow players. Please, coaches, let's give players that chance based on the merit, what they can do. Because you can tell a player who is committed for the club, a player who's committed for themselves. And this is what I was telling, I was talking about off the camera. We were saying that our players, and even at the club level, needs to start to think of getting managers, people that they can talk to, people who can advise them, people who can guide them and tell them you're doing well, here you're not doing well, you need to do this, you need to improve here, we need to do this. That's the only way you can build yourself. Even these bigger players that you see, they have managers. That's how they go where they are, because they go to somebody and they talk. They tell
Mhm.
them you're underperforming, you're not doing this, you're not doing this, and they push it. So I think we need to start
And Zax,
thinking on that.
Zax,
And
you,
this comes from now
yeah,
the
Zax,
management of the club.
yeah,
Yes,
Zax,
Gladys.
if I may, you've talked about players being able to get managers. How do we ensure that the players are getting proper managers, managers who are recognized by our federation? Because again,
Um,
you know how it goes. You do know you've been in this industry for way too long. there's been so many incidences of players getting fast agents who are not registered. Most of them don't even have managers. How do we ensure that we're getting proper managers?
Now, Gladys, this is what happens. For example, I'll give you an
Mhm.
example. I have a son who is playing football.
Yes.
I'm his
Yes.
manager. I'm his everything.
Yeah.
I don't need to have credentials from federation for me to manage him. This is
Mm.
between me and him.
Great.
So if there is anything
Great.
that I want to negotiate for him from anybody, I don't need
Mhm.
any letter from the federation to do that because I'm his manager as a player.
Wow.
I'm the one who is going to sign and agree and whatever on his behalf. Agents are
Okay.
people who now agents are different because the agents, what they do is that they get you the clubs in Europe, they go and negotiate, then they come to
Mm-hmm.
the manager, and that is me. They tell me this is what we have agreed with the club. They are going to pay so much. This is what I'm going to get out of that, and you this is what you're going to get. That's the difference. I'm saying on a home base, we need to have players need to have managers who can guide them to their
Managers.
next level. Yeah.
Mhm. Well, Zax, let me just remind our viewers back at home that you can be part of this conversation because there's a link that's going to be sent if you want to ask Zax any questions. The producer is going to send that link, and make sure that you're following us on all our social media handle pages. That is on Facebook, it is FC Leopards SC. On Twitter, it is at FC Leopards. On Instagram, it is at FC Leopards underscore SC. And yes, you can find us on YouTube too. It is FC Leopards SC as one word. Make sure you're joining this conversation. This is a very, very serious and deep conversation. And as we continue the discussion about rebuilding using the youth, and of course, let's look at the derby. Now, when you look at Gor Mahia and FC Leopards, Zax, this is a side that in this season they've tried to inject a lot of youth. As I talked about FC Leopards, we've also talked about, let's we can look a little bit about at Gor Mahia. They have the young Alphonse in mid who's been playing with Kenneth Muguna. Now, we have seen these young players, really stepping up and doing something. In particular, I'm sure you watched the derby, the Betway Cup, right? And there was this young man who was playing with Suma in midfield for FC Leopards. It's called Brian Wanyama. Do you think that if we give this youth the right direction, like giving them, of course, the chance to play for the seniors and the integration, do you think, like in the next seasons to come, we will see a much younger squads in the Kenya Premier League?
Definitely we will. And that will happen based on one, the management of the club. And this is where the problem is. You get good players, very young players, very talented players into the club. At the end of the day, there is no motivation for them. There is no development for them. There is no, I would say, care for them. So at the end of the day, you find that player gets demotivated. And what happens, Gladys, is this. The player starts underperforming and says football doesn't help because people who are there are not
Yes.
guiding these players. The technical bench, the coaches or whoever do not, help these boys grow. They are good players. You want them to win for the club, but also you also need to think about them. They also need to play for themselves. This is exactly where
Yes.
we miss the point. If a player does not play for himself, then he can't play for the club. I'm sorry. That's the way it is.
Yeah.
And that's where we are going wrong.
That's so true.
It doesn't matter what
Mm.
youth you grow and you don't guide them.
Mm.
Unfortunately, probably even
Mm.
they will not give you the results you want because you yourself are not guiding them the right way, Gladys. That's where we go wrong. And it starts with the
Zax,
I would say club
with the
management.
management.
Yes.
Yeah. Zax, I have to ask you a question, and this is going to be a very contentious and very difficult question for us to tackle. I want us to talk about officiating. In the last 3 or 4 matches, both Gor Mahia and FC have cried foul in regard to the officiating, and here is the derby now. There have been questions in regard to the kind of referees that we have right now and the decision making them the decision making, I beg your pardon. How crucial is it for this derby to have sober referees?
Wow, that's a difficult one, eh? But let me just say
Mhm.
this, and let me remind you, this
Yes.
cry for poor officiating did not start yesterday, Gladys. You know, it's in Kenya. It's always been there, time in memory. I remember,
Yeah.
I remember I was coaching Karura United, who were promoted from Super League to
Mhm.
the Nationwide League. I
Yes.
coached them. We did all. We did the very quality players. We went to Mombasa. I'll remind you one match. We went to Mombasa to play a team in Mombasa,
Yes.
and the officiating
Mhm.
was pathetic. You know, me as a football person who is very straightforward with things, I couldn't believe my eyes. I thought I was
Yes.
dreaming. And the officials came to
Okay.
me and told me, "Look, this is the way it's done here. You take it or leave it." I tried to call the head of referees in Nairobi. Nothing. Do you know what I told my players? Let them score 22 goals or 32 goals. They go to the Guinness Book of Record for scoring more
Mhm.
goals. Because
Mhm.
there's no way we can play like this. Now, the referees then did not care. Now, at least now, Gladys, I'll tell you, the refereeing has changed. We've seen a lot of changes, but we still, our biggest
Mhm.
problem that we are experiencing at the moment, and especially matches involving AFC and Gor Mahia, it's basically, those are high profile matches. Even me, even if I was a referee, I would be very careful what I blew for or what I call for. So that fear is within the
Yes.
referees, and that's what they need to play to bring it out of them. And this is the only way they can do it. Is we need to introduce VAR
Mhm.
as soon as possible, so that
Okay.
the referees now will also have to shape up, because our referees know there is no VAR; they can blow anything. I'm not saying there is anything behind it, but again, we're all human beings. We can make mistakes, but the mistakes should not be as many as we've seen of late. So unless we have VAR, and probably this is what the federation need to start thinking about, we are not going to
Mhm.
have those cries here and cry coming from
But but
from
but
people. And especially this
Zach,
is what happens, Gladys. Yeah, this is what happens when
yes, yes.
when when a referee has made a right call, the coaches on the
Yes.
bench will see it as a wrong call, and so there's always that fight.
Mhm.
So the only thing that can
Yes.
help us come out of that quagmire is
Mhm.
having the VAR.
But Zach, let me ask
Mhm.
you another difficult question, I have to say. Do you think the way referees have been officiating the matches has contributed to the kind of quality of football we are seeing right now? Because there'll come matches where you'll see players won't care because they know, and it has happened. There are certain referees who are just known to, it doesn't matter how we play, this guy is not going to, that's is not going to do the right thing. That's a branding that has been done. Do you think the kind of officiating that we have is affecting the quality of football that we are getting?
Well, across the board, that's one of the factors that is affecting our football. That I can assure you for that, because when you blow a whistle against a player who did not, cause any foul or do something that is worth that call, obviously he gets motivated.
Yes.
If he feels let out, you get what I'm saying. He feels
Yes.
like, yeah, you've denied me what I should have earned. If I was going to score a goal and you just blow your whistle that I was offside and I was not offside, then what have you done to me? You've killed my morale on that spirit. And now this is where now the coach comes up, or the captain of the team comes up and says, "Okay, you take it off. Don't take it. Just push it." So it's a matter of communication within the team again. But let me say this: poor officiating contributes to it, but there are other factors that also contribute to the poor performance of some of the players or some of the teams in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, let me ask you. We earlier on in the season we had a case where Zucchericho was said to be having a case of match fixing. Now, in a Premier League where we know, or rather, let me speculate, it is said that the referees are not yet being paid very well. Do you think this is also a contributing factor? Because at the end of the day, Zax, if your team is facing my team, these referees are also human beings. They're also our friends. They have connections with us. Will it ever come down to a case where you, the referee, has called you and told you, by the way, I'm the one who's officiating your match, and you do something about it? What are we going to do if our referees are not being well paid? How do
Um,
we handle it?
I think the only that's an issue of integrity, Gladys. That's one issue of
Mhm.
integrity um, from the referees. That's very important. If there is no integrity, then obviously those things will happen. Now, two, like you said, if the referees are not being paid or they're not being paid well, obviously, if he receives a call from Pakistan or from uh, maybe which other country, Uzbekistan, from one of the
Mhm.
betting guys, and he's told you, make sure that you blow the whistle at this time, and I want this and this, and this is how much I'm going to send you. What will happen? If he knows he's the only one who will talk to this guy, he'll do it. Right now, I know, and I had the president of federation yesterday say that there are cases already under FIFA investigation of match fixing. Those
Mhm.
cases are there. It
Yes.
happens. But then the only thing that we can eliminate this is now start talking about integrity and transparency in football. That's when we can get rid of this
But
betting,
Zax,
match
we're in a
fixing.
country where there are
Hmm.
no laws. No, we're in a country where there is no law that is against match fixing. How do you fix that? Because the worst that will happen is that Zoo, for example, Zoo Kericho were demoted to Division
Hmm.
One. So
Hmm.
they can just come again, play again all the way up. How are we, what do we need to do to introduce these laws? And these laws have to be very, very, laws that will ensure they are followed, we follow them to the letter, laws that will actually have a weight with them. Because there's nothing that is going to be done to any referee or to any team that has been caught with a case of match fixing. The worst you can do is do what, demote them, and then after that, what?
Gladys, let me tell you one thing. The football that we play in Kenya is
Yes.
not played under the Kenya government rules. It's played under the
Mhm.
FIFA laws. So that's why you see a case of Zoo. They had to send officials, investigating officers from FIFA to come and check and do all the thorough investigation on the matter, which they did, and that's where they came up with that conclusion via the federation that they suspend the Zoo club for match fixing. So we don't go by the rules of the Kenya law. We follow the FIFA law, and that's why anytime there's an issue of match fixing, the federation will engage FIFA directly to investigate if they have a suspicion that there was a match fixing. So it's not the Kenya law that applies in this case. It's the FIFA. And FIFA, the only thing they can do is ban you, demote you, fine you, or even ban you for life, or decide to demote your club, or individuals who are involved are banned from football forever. That's how it is. Yeah.
Well, very interesting, Zax. I do have a lot of questions I need to ask you, but it's going to get very heated here if I if I get to that side of the conversation. Speaking about the president of the federation, yesterday he unveiled the cup that is going to be given to the winner. I need your thoughts on that cup because the conversation that has been going on in social media has been quite interesting. What do you think of it?
Well, Gladys, let me say this. You can't make everybody happy. Eh?
Yes.
You can't make everybody happy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for me, we've not been having a trophy due for how long? And I think it's good that we have a trophy. It's on the table now. Anybody now, whoever wins the league takes it.
Okay.
That's acceptable. But everybody is allowed to give in their input, their view, what they feel about the trophy. I've also been following it up on the social media, and people are saying, "Oh, that money is too much money to spend on a trophy." But I think it's good to give the
Yes.
winning team the value of what they are taking home. They need to know we are holding a trophy
But
worth 5
Zax,
million
Zax,
shillings.
Zax,
Now, the other thing,
Zax,
and there
just
was this
hold on,
argument.
hold on. No, no,
Yeah.
no, 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 Zax.
Mm-hmm.
No, Zax. I need to
Okay, go
stop you
on.
right there.
Go on.
If you're getting a
Okay.
trophy worth 5 million, yet the winners of
Mm-hmm.
last season and the season before that, if I'm not wrong, didn't even get the prize money. Is it in any way a motivation to be holding a trophy worth millions, yet the winners of last season didn't even get their prize money? Does it
I think what
make
should have,
any sense in any way, surely?
you cut me short before I went to my next point. That's my first step on
Hmm.
that. I think it's worth to have a trophy.
Okay.
But my next point was you brought in the trophy, which is good, beautiful looking, and all that with the Kenyan culture in it. It's beautiful. But again, what is your next step in terms of prize money? Because the prize
Hmm.
money you give the team that is carrying that trophy worth 5 million should be at least probably 10 million shillings or even 20 million shillings. So that when you're carrying that trophy worth 5
Yes.
million and you've won the league and you are winning probably about 20 million shillings, then you can fight for it. And this is now where the problem is, Gladys. And this is why our Premier League has gone down. Our clubs and players don't have anything that they are fighting for worth their sweat in the field.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying?
Hmm.
If for
Yes.
example today FC knows that the prize money at the end of the season is going to be 20 million shillings or even 30 million shillings for winning, and the trophy worth 5 million shillings, let me tell you, AFC will be performing excellent. But now they know there is
Oh,
nothing there. You cannot fight for how much money are they earning this? Yeah? Is it
I think it's 4 million.
5 million or
Four
something
million.
like that?
No, it's
4 million
four.
or something like that.
4 million.
That really after
Yes.
what
Yes.
it's 4 million, yeah. After working
Yeah.
for a whole year for 4 million, at the end of the day, I think it's now this is my challenge to the federation. They need to start to push the prize money to be above the trophy worth 5 million shillings. That is my suggestion, and that's what I feel. We need to upgrade the prize money so that the players can the teams can get motivated, the coaches can work even harder. Now,
Hmm.
when you might ask me, and this is where I was heading,
Yeah.
it's again very disappointing. You have a trophy of 5 million shillings, but the winner of women's league got how much?
Got
350,000
350,000.
shillings.
I'm sorry to say, but
350,000
that is
shillings.
money. That
Yeah,
is money you 350,000 is money FC Leopards uses for one match day. One match day.
exactly.
Because you have to make sure the players
Exactly.
the bus is fueled, you have to make sure the players have traveled, you have to, it is ridiculous to give people 350,000. And that brings me to my next question, Zax, as we wrap up. Now,
Mhm.
FKF also launched the women's, I'm sure you came across that document, their plan
Mhm.
for the women's league. Now, the reason why I'm
Yeah,
asking you
I
this
came
question
across
is
it. Yes.
because one of the things they said is that they're going to ask the teams that are taking part in the Kenya Premier League to try and adopt one women's team, to help with the growth of women football. But at the same time, the same document is saying that they want only 12 teams playing in the top tier league, that is the WPL. Yet in the Premier League we have 18 teams. How is it going to work?
Wow, it's a it's a huge calling. It's a very huge calling. Let me first of all say
Yes.
this: you when you say that you want the clubs to adopt some of these women's teams, already the club themselves are struggling to pay their players. I'll give you a good example. Go Mahia. Do you know what budget is for Gor Mahia every year? It's 100 million.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's about 100 million,
Same to
according
FC
to the
Leopards. Yeah.
federation. Yeah, same to FC Leopards. Now, that money is not even enough. I mean, they don't even have that 100 million to run the clubs, and you want them to carry another club with them. It can't happen. It can't happen. What the federation needs to do is this: is basically set up um, a department that will run women federation, get a marketing people in, get everybody in, and get the women their own sponsors. And they can, because women I know have I would call it that commitment. They want to play for their club, they want to play for the country. And I'm sure you'll get sponsors to come in for the women. But when you say, Gladys, when you say you want to ask the clubs to adopt, no, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. Even the way we know, even in Europe, Arsenal, they have their women team. Liverpool have their
Mhm.
own women. Manchester United have their own team, but they don't. They are not in any way connected. It's just a name. If they're saying about adopting
Okay,
in
very
terms of
well.
the name, then I can agree with that. But when it comes to management, it's totally different. It can't work,
Ah,
Gladys, for Kenyan clubs. They can't afford it
very.
because they are
Okay.
struggling at the moment to pay their salaries.
Mhm. Zax, you have seen
Yeah.
FC Leopards since they came back to the league since 2009. Your final parting shot as we get ready to close the show, because since 2009 when they came back, FC Leopards has shown so much level of growth. What do you think of FC Leopards now, and what is your expectation of FC Leopards in the coming season?
Well, very impressive. I would say that AFC, you know one thing, Gladys, AFC
Yes.
have all the goodwill of its fans. They have the goodwill of good players. They have the goodwill of everything. But there's one thing that I have, and I'll be very honest with you, I will not hide. I will just say it. I think the AFC management needs to wake up, and they need to take the players seriously. Players are the brand
Yeah.
for the club. And if you don't take care of the players, then the brand will not grow. You have quality players that can, if tomorrow you tell them play, they will give you what you want. But again, I have a feeling that probably the management needs to work on that. Now, look, AFC by now should have quality sponsors with them, within themselves. They don't need the federation or anybody else to help them. They can do that. But again, there are two things I want to talk about, and I'm going to insist: transparency, integrity,
Mhm.
um, what would I say? The other one, proper ethics within the club. That should be able to help
Mhm.
AFC even grow further. You get what I'm saying? So I don't
Yes,
think
I
it's
do.
only AFC, even across the board, all the clubs are really struggling in terms of management. And my biggest
Mhm.
problem, Gladys, is integrity. When you get a sponsor giving you 50 million shillings, do you account for that money? Do you pay the players? If you get 50 million
Yes.
shillings, I don't expect to hear players complaining they have not received their salaries. Never, never, Gladys.
Okay.
I should never hear that. Every player, they have families,
Very
they have
well,
bills to
Zach.
pay.
Okay.
Yeah, they should be paid. That's what
Yes.
I'm saying. Accountability, integrity. Yeah, those are very important.
And
And then
ethics,
ethics
proper
within
ethics.
the club. Yeah, yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Zax Waweru, for your time. This is how we do it each and every Thursday, good people. We have conversations that will only be found right here on Ingwe Fanzone, right here on FCTV. Now, do remember that Match Day Center will be coming to you live this Derby edition. Yes, we will be here to tell you and dissect that match. And hopefully, I am hoping that Zach Saweru will be able to join us on this Derby Day special just to spice up a little bit. Um, Things a little bit more. And then we have someone who's attempting to break the Guinness World Records and he needs support. And this is going to be happening on Saturday, the 31st of July. Now, he wants to do 8 8,000 burpees. For those of you who go to the gym, hey, watu wangu wa gym, this is a huge task, and he's asking for our support. And you know what? ZACKS, let me tell you, I go to the gym, I can barely do 30 burpees. How is this man going to manage 8,000? Well, we're just going to have to wait and see. Well, this is going to be happening at the NSK this coming Saturday. And then on Sunday, it is the Derby, the 1st of August, the first match of the month of August. That is how we're going to welcome August in style. Telling you it's going to be all about FC Leopards taking on Gor Mahia. Now, on behalf of the team that has made this broadcast possible, I want to say thank you for each and every fan who joined us tonight. I want to say thank you very much. I know I've not been able to read your comments tonight, but it's because I'm having a technical issue on my side. Lakini kama kawaida, mnajua that we are here because of you. Remember to follow us on all our social media handle pages. On Twitter it is at FC Leopards, but tuko karibu kufika 100,000. You guys, why don't we make it 100,000 before the Derby? Well, it is very much possible. And then on behalf of everyone who's made this
Wote
show
ni
possible,
mafans Gladys.
God bless you. Yeah, thank you, and God bless you. So
Wote
I'll
ni
see you next
mafans.
week.
Yeah, they can. Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Okay, all right.
Thank you, ZACKS. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Thanks. And